Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Harakakadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, great most under all while. Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of sharing truth. Saw this in the news, and I thought it was interesting because you had China do a missile test into the Pacific, and I think they moved some warships as well. I've into the Pacific, or maybe near Taiwan, a few days back. But you also had Russia, basically, make a declaration talking about, nuclear powers basically supporting Ukraine maneuvering into Russia, doing the operations there. So it's the term would be like saber rattling, or what's it, rumors of wars, as is referred to in the scriptures. But the title says China test fires an intercontinental ballistic missile into the Pacific Ocean. Is that a video? I don't know if I got footage of it actually.
A big Chinese missile test. Missiles as a nuclear capability only had a dummy, the United States.
Okay. No, he's just talking on it. So it says China test fired an ICBM into the Pacific Ocean on Wednesday, stirring security concerns in a region already tense over Beijing's territorial claims and rivalry with the US. The ICBM carried a dummy warhead and fell into the designated area of the sea. The Defense Ministry said it's in a statement posted to social media. Launched by the People's Liberation Army's Rocket Force, was part of routine annual training, complied with international law, and was not directed against any country or target, according to the statement. But then, yeah, it's obviously being done to make us, to make a show, because now's, it's a time where all these tensions are heightened. You've had in the Middle East that spiked up again. Started off with like the pages exploding, the pages being targeted, then the walkie-talkies, and then they're doing missile strikes on Lebanon to get to Hezbollah, as that's who they say they're after. And it's another conflict to maintain Bibi so he can stay in there and keep doing what he's doing. But again, it's all really so anything can tip the scales, with the drop of a hat. And that's the state a lot of these, zones have been in, like, Syria as well. And then Russia, Ukraine. The thing that has, people on edge about, even with Iran as well, is like Iran getting nuclear weapons is a big part of what had people so on edge. So like, oh shit, what's going, worried in that circumstance. And it's the same thing with Russia. So China then, doing a missile test, and it says it's unclear how often China conducts tests over such a distance. In 1980, China launched an ICBM into the South Pacific. Don't know if that's the last one since 1980. Yeah, it says tests of China's ICBMs into international waters are rare. Yeah, so it was the last time was like 1980 when they launched it that far. But then why is it being pushed that far? It's obviously because now's a time where all these tensions are being built. And then you go. I'll read this. Joel 3:9. It says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles: Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up." And yeah, that's really what we're seeing. We're seeing those men of war being drawn near, and even if that's being showcased through technology, That's because why, this is was Isaiah 9:5, the battle, every battle of the warriors confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. This one's, gonna go down through those technological means, and the biggest, tool that's gonna be used is the ICBM, the rocket powered nuclear warhead, where it's carrying, a level of destruction and heat that is on a scale that's incomparable to prior weaponries. It's just, it's essentially moving like pure fire. And there was the video that China, no, was it China? No, it was Russia, did the simulation of one of those exploding over fucking, what do you call it, over London. And that was just a single one, and that, and it's like the amount of land that would have been taken out as a madness. So that's why people think, shit, nukes, that's a different category. Because what does it say? Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. And that's really happened. It's you go to a lot of these nations, because people are talking about China. It's like even China. It was the same thing with Japan. Japan at like the end of World War II, like they were toast. They basically destroyed their economy, all the capabilities of production within their country to maintain themselves in World War II. Then they had to be built, back up afterwards. But then over the course of like going through to like the 80s, that's when you started having like Japanese production for cars, especially electronic gadgets and devices, like went up. It was similar with like China, where they took over production, Taiwan as well. Where these nations, India even, is another good example where they were like backwater, third world slum countries, but then because of them interacting with and basically following after the mold of like the Western world, mainly America, they then were able to thingy to build themselves up to even getting nuclear capabilities, to getting developing their technology, economies, etc., to where they're a challenge to the West, where everyone's saying like, oh, China's gonna be the next big one. That's all them weak, saying they're strong, and it's for a purpose, because Isaiah 14 says as well, after Esau's stripped of all these so-called grandeur and glory that he has now, all the nations gonna look and be like, is this the man that made the earth to tremble? Because that's a reality. Everyone's looking at the illusion, the Satan transforming himself into an angel of light, the illusion he's presented to the world and maintained free system, and that's why everyone's chasing after it. But it's going to be evident once Yahweh Shah makes his return, once this whole system gets uprooted and the kingdom's established, that it was a pale imitation of attempting to pull off what the Lord is going to have happen with ease through his people and free Yahweh Shai. It says, what? Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And yeah, that's everyone being drawn into the Middle East, which is already happening. There's already various interests taking place. And Syria is kind of a place where it played out. And that as soon as it got out the news cycle, no one's really thinking about it. But then again, it's one of those things that just has operated in the background, where they said, they sent people to train. What was the other place? It was Ukraine as well. They said they're sending, people to train up soldiers or rebels or resistance or whatever term they use. but it's always those interests being protected. So, so back in the article, it says a map published in Chinese newspapers at the time showed the target area as roughly a circle in the center of a ring formed by the Solomon Islands, Nauru, the Gilbert Islands, Tuvalu, Western Samoa, Fiji, and the New Hebrides. The US and non-governmental organizations have said China has been building up its missile silos, but it's unclear how many missiles and nuclear warheads it's added to its arsenal. So yeah, they're not even aware of the scale and scope of what they've got, and that's part of the spirit of where everyone's on edge. Everyone's kind of looking at things like, okay, oh shit, what's going on? And really, everything can just be flipped on a dime. Saying a dime like we have dimes over here, flipped, on its head. You have what appears like it's not going to escalate or boil over into a bigger global conflict. Everyone's aware. Everyone who pays attention to geopolitical situations is aware it can boil over, and it kind of goes around interest as well, because that's why Taiwan is such a focal point. For the West being involved, because what they provide as far as with CHIPs, computer CHIPs, they that's something core to various forms of weaponry, various forms of technology being utilized. Where if China then had a grip over it, it's going to greatly impact the West, and that's why you see those what's it called, embargoes or whatnot on certain technologies going to China. Certain people, Americans that were working in China had to get back home, because they'll basically no longer allowed to work within Chinese companies. But even then, you have like it's like you had over here in the UK with the Huawei setting up 5G towers in the UK. A lot of these companies are kind of it within various levels of the Western world, and people aren't really aware of just how much for how much China's kind of infiltrated in the rest of the world. And that's the thing, is all these things can become points of contention, because you have people get grabbed, nabbed up for spying and whatnot. There was a guy that had like some I can't remember the guy's name, but it was he was given, I think he worked in level of the government. He was giving up secrets because she was throwing it back on him. And then she turned out to be a spy. The what's the honey trap? Like it was a fucking 70s espionage film. But let me continue. So I'll skip down a bit. So it says the US remains China's main global rival, although Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, and others have territorial disputes with Beijing that occasionally threaten to develop into military clashes. And yeah, India happened as well a few years back, where they had skirmishes on the border because of land, like border disputes. That's been a big thing. There's islands that multiple countries have kind of like claims over bits of land and whatnot, and then it'll go to clashes. But all that war hasn't really gone there. So it says China maintains a no first use of nuclear weapons policy, even as its desire for regional predominance grows. Tests of China's intercontinental ballistic missiles into international waters are rare. Experts and a historical survey of China's program by the Washington-based Nuclear Threat Initiative suggests the last occurred in May 1980, which is 20, not even 24, 44 years from the last one. So it's been a hot minute. That test saw China launch its DF-5 missile into the South Pacific. China typically launches missiles towards its western deserts from its east coast, said James Acton, the co-director of the Nuclear Policy Program and a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. The fact that China launched a test that splashed down in international waters was unusual, but mirrors testing that the US does for its own ballistic missile fleet. So yeah, it's not rare, but then them switching up, and like they said, it's been 44 years. But so I'll just read on. It says when they haven't done something for 44 years and then they do it, that's significant, and that's really, what it comes down to. They're essentially making a statement with it, but then, beyond that statement, it goes down. It's reined in by by prophecy, by Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem HaRakakadash. Revelation 7:1. And after those things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the winds should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we've sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. So yeah, is that destruction's being held back to restrain, because why? It's about the elect. It's about, them being delivered, and then Yahushua being glorified and receiving his kingdom. The elect being the joint heirs with him. So that's what the actual focal point is. Everyone now is caught up in thinking like, oh, the destruction, but that's why, the prophecies. There's order things need to go, and you can't just have World War III just kick off. But then, like it says in Revelation, in Matthew 24, I'm gonna read it, but it's a bit further up about wars and rumors of wars. That's what we're witnessing. But then there's more other prophecies happening simultaneously that when we see all them coming together, we know. And that's why we really can. And the key one is that MOTB. That's something you go back even, 10, 15 years. You've not got anywhere near the same scale. Now we're in a time where it's like, yo, it's plain to see. People in the world are seeing it, which they've seen it before, but on a scale that's not been seen before. And then with the internet, the unicorn there to carry it further, it's able to spread on a scale that hasn't really been possible before. So Matthew 24:38, for as in the days that were before the flood, or something 37, it says, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So yeah, all these signs are there, and that's what, the wars and rumors of wars. All these different prophecies are set to let us know the time, so we can, be circumspect and redeem the times, and be watchmen. To not be caught, like the people that are gonna be, dashing rice on the wedding couple, or or throwing the bouquet, or or cutting the cake. Both of them holding hands together, cutting the cake. Well, and then missiles are about to drop. But there'll be people doing those things. Living what seems like a merry, picturesque lifestyle, looking like they just, in a painting. They've never been so blissful before in their life, And then, little do they know, there's a timer. There's a day that's been appointed, and they're on it. They're seconds away. Then shall two be in the field, and the one shall be taken, and the other left. The two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left. So yeah, with these, what you call it? That destruction is gonna be on that scale where, you could be walking, but it's you have those in like disaster films and various movies where it'll kind of be like someone might walk past something, then you just have like a stairway collapse or a building just fall out, or like a bomb go off, and you're like, damn. Like the start of Children of Men is a good example where he's in the cafe getting a fucking coffee, watching the TV, he walks out, and a fucking bomb goes off. And he's like, shit, he just fucking, he's just in there. If it was like seconds early, he would have been fucked. That's how peak is going to be. But again, that's because of the process of things, because of the gradualism. Now, where it's a lot of things have just been accepted into the new normal. So that, it's something that's not heeded, it's not regarded. But is what it is. It's going to come to its fullness. So I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yabba Shim Yasha. Bashim Kakadash Bakata. Shalom.